Right, today we're going to talk about how to start a new Warhammer 40k army, where you should go first, why you should go there first, and we're going to just build it up. Now, if you look at the Warhammer Games Workshop page for Warhammer 40k, you'll see there's Black Templars are the latest thing. So we're going to use those. There's a box set coming out for this. They supply some of the kit you're going to need all in one go. These box sets usually are good value, and it's a good way to start combat patrols, that kind of thing. So sometimes, if you know what you want and you know how many squads of everything you need to get the box sets to get the models as cheap as possible. But what I'm about to explain now is what you want to be aiming for and the order you want to be aiming it for. Now, first problem you have is you're not very good at painting your army. Learn. You also need squads that will sit on objectives. If you've only got 2 squads of infantry, you're going to lose every battle. Right? You're going to lose every single battle because you're not going to have enough people to hold objectives. It's as simple as that. Do you want to win? Get 6 squads of infantry. Make that as urgent as possible. 6 squads of the cheapest infantry you could get for your army. In this case, it's Space Marines, Black Templars. So, whichever squad you like, which is cheap to get based on what it says in the codex, which you will have to buy first, right? Then go for that. Now, Black Templars they use the Space Marine codex and they have their own what can't what they call it now, their own book that adds to it. There's 2 books needed for these, but if you're just doing Ultramarines, you can get away with just a Space Marine codex, and all this still applies. Ultramarines are the colour you're seeing on the screen right now, by the way, the blue. You have that little symbol here. Anyway, 6 squads of infantry, right? You should really early on go for squads of 5. Try and build up a couple of them to 10 later. The squads of 5 it means you've got 30 Marines to practice your paint job on. By the time you get to the end, you should have some idea of how your paint is going to evolve the rest of the models. If you buy a big expensive model like this one, like the Storm Raven gunship, and you crap at painting, it's going to be an eyesore. You're going to be embarrassed to field it. So practice on your infantry first, get that down before moving on to something more expensive and fancy. Because these bigger models are your centerpieces. You need to have a decent standard before you start painting those models. And you get to that standard by painting the cheap stuff first. Infantry, paint jobs, learn that. Capture objectives, win games with them. Next, you're going to need a commander. Now, Space Marines are moving over to Primaris, so we're going to focus primarily on Primaris armies. See what I did there? Anyhow, we're going to focus primarily on Primaris armies. So let's go down to any Primaris captains we've got. Phobos armor. I think these two. There's lots of captains and things about. There's one there, one there, one there. Any captain will do a field thing. So will a lieutenant. Um, it depends on how much you want to spend. They usually give you a bonus to your troops, a reroll of ones, a +1 to hit, something like that. So pick one of these as your leader. Then I recommend getting a chaplain. Right, that's a close assault thing that'll help you defend. There's a reason for that later. And if you want to get the full host troops, of the full command squad, which I would consider to be fairly important, try and find a Primaris librarian if you can. Because quite frankly, or any librarian if you can, because librarians are very important too. But the chaplain, he's going to be important. Get one with a jump pack, right? So you've got your captain, he's going to stay with your infantry. Get you a chaplain with a jump pack if you can, right? Whip him with a jump pack within the rules, field them as a jump pack's equivalent. You don't necessarily have to have a jump pack on the model, but it looks cool if you do. And now, got the infantry, you've got your command squad, right? You're now ready to play. Simple as that. But you're not maybe very good against tanks. So what we need is some anti-tank. Now there's lots of tanks here that'll do the job, and you could go for any of them. I wouldn't. I'd scroll down and go for Dreadnoughts. Now typically I'd say go for a normal Dreadnought, but we're talking about Primaris now. There's no such thing as a cheap normal Dreadnought anymore. We go for 2 or 3 of these babies here, and equip them with anti-tank weapons. Right, these are your anti-tank force. Some of them come with little anti-infantry weapons anyway. Right, so don't worry about that. Just make sure they've got an anti-tank weapon on board. Field them that way, because these will take out the tanks needed. Well, tanks you come across on the board. Remember, these are quite expensive to field, so you might want to just gauge how much all of this costs. If it costs too much, get less of these and more of something cheaper. But generally speaking, dreadnoughts. Usually, I'd say go for the Venerables or the Ironclads and stick laser cannons on them. But like I said, we're dealing with just Primaries here, so we're phasing out the. So yeah, this one here, 2 or 3 of those. Say aim for 2 initially. These are your anti-tank vehicle. They're also hard to kill, so it takes a bit of effort. Now, fast attack is the other thing, right? Now, again, I would have gone for found one. The speeders, the old speeders here with melter guns and stuff like that on it. But we're dealing with Primaris here, so we're going to go with the newer stuff, which is these storm speeders. Now, these are anti-infantry, anti-tank, right? That's what you want to be aiming for, something that'll do a bit of both. Right? These swing around the inside of the infantry. Well, swing around the side of the enemy flanks and kill infantry. They basically empty infantry off objective. It's really good to have a fast attack element in your army, because it literally helps you decimate armies quickly before they become a threat. You can pick an enemy, you think I don't like him, he's going to be a threat later on, send them guys around, destroy them. Got to use cover correctly, right? Your infantry above, for instance, if you put them out in the open, they'll die. You put them in cover, your enemy's got to go looking for them and hunt them down. And they could hide behind a wall on an objective forever. Until the enemy comes and gets them, they'd always be earning you points. Point 2, point 3, point 4, point every single turn. That's how you win games. Don't put them at risk that way. Stick them in cover on an objective, right, and just let the points clock in. Anyhow, we come down to assault troops. Now, assault troops are an old style thing, so we're not going to go with them. So we're going to try and find something with jetpacks which we can use. Go all the way to the top and look down. Now, assault troops basically you want 10-man squads of assault troops if you can, right? But we're looking for Primaris versions. They're mostly 3-man squads. They're not really assault troops. But if you can get assault troops that move quickly, get them, then see these type of things. But they're the old style assault troops here. If you can't get any Primaris ones, go for these or the veteran squads, right? Quite fun assault troops, to be honest. You want to get at least one squad, right? But the veteran ones may be 10-man squads. Remember, if your opponent is fielding 5-man squads, having a 10-man squad land on an objective means that objective is automatically outnumbered him. Although technically speaking, they're not. Well, they are infantry. Anyway, if you've got infantry outnumbering infantry, you get the objective, right? So 10 versus 5, yeah, you're also going to wipe out the enemy. These power claws and stuff like that, quite good at getting rid of some of those stubborn things. You got flamers on the standard ones, so they're quite good. And the chaplain, what I mentioned earlier, give him an assault jump pack. You put him with them. Chaplain goes with the assault troops. Because if you get assault troops, especially these guys coming up against Rubik Marines, which are just normal Marines, which are dead, well, they're dust. So it's a complicated thing. Thousand Sons Rubik Marines are basic normal Space Marines, but damage one weapons, easier to shrug off the damage with them. So these are all damage one weapons they're carrying. So it's just like ping, 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 no damage. Meanwhile, they've got this bolt gun, which is not suitable for melee. They're killing assault troops because the assault troops can't kill them, but they can kill assault troops. So, well, they can assault troops can kill them. It's just unlikely. But you stick the Chaplain in, right? That crozier he carries isn't a damaged one weapon, and he will kill them, right? So the Chaplain with assault troops is always a good idea. Bikes. Now, bikes, never ever forget to take bikes. Bikes are just so useful. They're usually dirt cheap. And when you want to squeeze in a fast attack element into your army, you haven't got the points. Bikes are the way you do it, right? Stick a squad or two of bikes in there if you can. I don't know if you can with Space Marines, but you can with Chaos. Stick an heavy weapon on them, a melter gun or something. Have some fun, you know. But yeah, that's basically all you need, to get started. That's what I would call a well-rounded army for any beginner. Advanced stuff. See, once you've got your basic army, go for your advanced stuff like Land Raiders, Storm Raiders. Now, the objective here isn't to create an army where it's balanced. It's options for swapping things out, right? So you might want to think, I don't want to take Dreadnoughts today. I want to take a Land Raider. So you swap out the Dreadnoughts with Land Raider, right? And the same with other things. Like some of these tanks here, the repulsors and the lancers, and swap these out according to the armies you're facing. I wouldn't bother with the Centurions or whatever because they're old school. They're not Primaris anymore, I don't think. And then you've got the Gladiator here. But again, if you're going to get tanks, initially set them up as anti-tank. Tanks are anti-tank. And when you're playing the game, remember, if you destroy the enemy infantry, you're removing the opponent's ability to earn points effectively. In other words, you're going to win. You're going to win if you can get points and he can't. You're going to win. If you take out tanks, you're stopping him from taking out your heavy weapons. So your heavy weapons are going to be safe. But if your heavy weapons are all anti-tank and you've destroyed his tanks, then they're not going to be as effective as infantry. So try to mix and match. Stick a few really good anti-infantry weapons on your anti-tank platforms, such as Dreadnoughts. So once the enemy tanks are gone, you can start targeting the infantry and wiping them off objectives. Unless your opponent is known to field lots of tanks, in which case just go mad with heavy weapons or on your vehicles, Dreadnoughts. But yeah, speeders. The Primaris Marines the Primaris side tend to put lots of weapons on each platform, which means they're always going to be expensive to take, right? But there's always this element of really strong troops, really weak weapons, right? For instance, there's a lot of these weapons don't have any more than one damage. They might not have any AP value, so they don't modify the saving anywhere. Against Chaos Marines or other Space Marines, they're going to be quite weak. Against Orcs, Tau, Xenos, basically, they're quite strong, right? So Primaris versus anything that isn't a Space Marine, yeah, brilliant. Against anything that is a Space Marine, be it Chaos or whatever, not so good, right? So you need to get some weapons in there that have at least an AP value of -1, and preferably something that fires a lot of shots. Now, the Thunder Cannon, the Thunder Fire Cannon, they're really good against Admech, Orcs, Tau, anything with a high saving throw. But if you're fielding against other Space Marines, leave it at home. Just leave it at home. These guys, Reavers, these are as close as you get to assault troops for Primaris, as far as I know. I don't actually. So when I was talking about assault troops, you're probably looking at these guys. But you need to get Space Marines 2 objectives quickly, right? These can't travel, get up the board fast enough. You might need to go and get a drop pod into battle. One of those, assuming they can fit in them. Not too sure how Primaris rules work with drop pods, so you'll have to check that yourself. Right, anyhow, there are a number of different tanks here. These are the old school. Vindicators, again, old school. Predators, old school. Both of them solid vehicles to take, This one is good at short range. That one's good at long range. It's kind of a cheap land raider. Really good anti-tank weapon. Dreadnoughts are always a good thing to take. These guys here, interceptors, right? Fast moving. These ones are the plasma ones. You get ones with bolt guns. Move forward, annihilate infantry. Yeah, plasma will get rid of stubborn infantry, but do it slower. Bolt guns take care of light infantry. So if you get a few squads of these, mix it in, you can swap them out with assault troops or something. Use them to just bin out objectives and get rid of troops and stuff like that. They're not really. I wouldn't use them against anti-tank, although you could. If you use them against as an anti-tank role, they'll get 1 damage here, 1 damage there, maybe D3 here. And it's not the most effective way to use them. These guys here, I think these are the bolt gun ones. Well, they don't call them bolt guns, but they're anti-infantry basically, used for thinning out massive amounts of troops. But look at the cost of them and look at the cost of the dreadnoughts to see which one is the most cost effective. They both pretty much come with similar weapons. You could equip a dreadnought and do the same job, you know. Although to be honest, dreadnoughts are harder to kill. Frankly, you know, you need a heavy weapon to take a dreadnought out. You take these out, weapon. I say that though, but they usually come and serve these guys. Now, let's just get down to assault troops. Even though these aren't Primaris and they're phasing out, assault troops are a lot of fun. They are a lot of fun. And, you know, you put a chaplain with them, you're well aware. Right? Now, you've got two types here. You've got assault and you've got, you know, the veteran squads. Veteran squads come with all kinds of fancy weapons like thunder. Here, you've got storm shield and thunder armor, lightning claws. You have to try. You have to. I mean, these ones here, Rubik Marines will just slaughter them, right? Because even though the Rubik Marines are assault troops, the damage one weapons won't do anything. Right? And some of the fun of the game is when your assault troops get into combat with a thunder hammer or lightning claws. This is where the fun is. So if I were you, either go for a normal assault squad or normal veterans, just enjoy it. You know, especially if you've got your chaplain, enjoy it because these, I mean, you're going to get 10-man squad, right? Or 2 5-man squads. So you actually get 2 squads in at the same time. They'll have jump packs on. Well, they might be a bit expensive, but are worth taking simply from a fun factor point of view. Anyway, you can get tech marines to repair things and stuff like that. I'd leave that for later on if I were you. When you develop your army further, you might want to take scouts, you know, for sniping at opponents, but don't expect them to be that effective. They might be okay. My experience, they've never been brilliant. But they are usually quite cheap to take. Here you see you've got a captain with jump pack, and there you've got a chaplain with a jump pack. You can get normal chaplains and normal captains with jump packs, which you can then field alongside your assault troop if you want to go off the non-primaris route and go for normal marine. This will work out quite well. Also, kits of jump packs here for when you want to add them later, and melter gun. So yeah, a lot of these are out of stock, you see, but a lot of these fancy alternatives you get here is stuff you add later on. But you always start with the 6 squads of infantry, get your paint job down pat, make sure you can capture objectives effectively, and go from there. Quite frankly, once you've got once you've got your objective capturing abilities done, your anti-tank abilities done, and your assault troops abilities done, you go for the fancy stuff, and you can swap it in and out. Your army feels complete at that. Don't just build an army up to the point where you get 2,000 points and stop. Go beyond that a little bit. So you can mix it up from game to game. There's a lot of people, they'll get one army, they'll get exactly the number of points, and that's it. Stop. It's not much fun. It isn't much fun. I've got a whole wardrobe in there full of troops, and my chaos, I can swap things in and out. I can go in different directions. Even when my opponent knows I'm fielding chaos, he can't predict the strategies I'm going to use. For instance, if you put 10 assault troops on an objective, as I said earlier, They only have 5-man squads. Then you've captured that objective simply by landing on it. You're getting 1 point a turn from it. They're getting nothing. They've lost a point a turn. That could be a game-winning strategy right there. Infantry hiding behind cover, just clocking in the points from an objective. You don't even have to shoot with them because the whole point of winning the game is to get more points from an opponent usually. So even if they're not shooting, they're winning the game for you. Again, a game-winning strategy. Dreadnoughts that can take out infantry hidden in cover, in mass, a game-winning strategy. These tanks here, these are more for a slugfest, I would say. Where you're taking on other tanks or getting taking on knights and going to take them down quickly without losing your tank too quick. But there's lots of things, and if you think about it, like the speeders, sending a platform of heavy weapons that's fairly cheap around the flank of the enemy and getting to shoot at something that would normally be protected because it's just at the back of the field. You could wipe out his reserves, his captains, his commanders. If you can get closer to them than other troops, you could take out all the units that are being buffed. You could take out his rear rank. You leave him vulnerable. All kinds of stuff. These really mess up people's game plan, right? Because you stick the troops forward first, which you don't mind losing, but these will attack the units at the back. It does mind losing. This is the point. Artillery, where you can fire over units and attack things which you can't see, like the Thunderfire cannon does. It's always useful, especially against non-space marine. Anyway, yeah, start with the 6 troops. Okay, guys, and we're going to leave it there. Hopefully, you'll have an idea. But the most important thing when you're first learning is to get the troops needed to practice your paint job on. Because you're going to have to get that down pat. You have to figure that one out. You don't want to be buying a big expensive model and then ruining it with your first attempts at paint job. You won't feel very good at it. If you just got Space Marines, you can always go and buy more Space Marines, and eventually you might not use your older models. See? Anyhow, see you in the next one, guys.